The Angels 2014. The Angels, world champions.
Oh, and first pitch crushing.
Hey, welcome into another episode of the Halos in the Infield podcast. I'm rolling solo today. This is your host, Toddfox, in the flesh. We're going to get to, this is going to be a quicker show, obviously, because we don't have the banter in between the co-hosts. So Randy and Fernando couldn't make it today. So like I said, I'm riding solo on this one. So bear with me. I'm going to get to what we normally get to, some little banter, little off-topic stuff when it comes to the club itself and what I noticed during the week. We're going to review the series with Baltimore and then talk about the Ohio series coming up here with a 4-game series at home in Anaheim. We're going to preview that series after we get into what happened with Baltimore and the Angels in that first series over there in Anaheim because, Anaheim did not come out and play as good as we thought. We were talking about this earlier on the show, whether, what the Angels were going to do and if they were going to possibly be in a better spot as far as winning these ball games and having 2 out of 3 like we predicted, or at least like how I predicted. I thought the Angels would be in a better spot, but unfortunately it did not go that way, as the Angels would lose 2 out of 3 at home to a team that, if you look at things and how they're stacked up, the Orioles have had a good start this season because of good young pitching in the starting rotation. The bullpen has been their problem, except the back end has been all right. But the bullpen for the majority has not been all good, and the hitting has been very sporadic. They've had little or no contributions from the back end of that lineup. It's mostly been the top half of the lineup with Mullins and Mancini leading the way for the Orioles. But for whatever reason, they got some timely hitting and some errors helped the Orioles get a W, and we're going to get into it now. After the Astros series and them playing really good small ball and taking advantages of the pitching matchups and things of that nature, they did not do the same thing against the Orioles in Game 1 on Friday, which we were there. The Orioles jumped out to a 2-0 lead. Then they off of Reed Detmers. Detmers was pulled early again, to where he did not have enough. He did not, in my opinion. He pitched 5 innings, but could have got a little bit longer. 2 earned runs on 3 hits. In this one, it was Archie Bradley that just crapped the bed. 3 runs on 4 hits allowed in a third of an inning. Jimmy Hergot pitched good. Ortega and then Austin Warren did a good job in relief. But the hitting was terrible in this game. Shohei Ohtani 0 for 4, left a bunch of guys on base. Mike Trout with a hit and an RBI in this game. Duffy, came through with a couple of hits. Ward and but the Angels stranded base runners like crazy. And they would, the Orioles took advantages of a big error and won that game 5-3. And the Angels took a loss, and the Orioles get to save in that game. I think the save was recorded by George Lopez in the close. So the Angels come out right away and lose that first game, because going into the series, they were sitting there at 8-5, and you're thinking if they could win these 3 games at best, you're 11-5 out the gates in the first 16 games. You're feeling good about yourself. But the fact that they couldn't handle that and they turn things over, they lose 2 out of 3. The best they could do is go 9-7. So they lost that first game 5-3. The next game, and my impressions on that game is just Bradley could not find the plate. They weren't getting the calls, and they left him in there too long. And then so on Saturday we went to this game as well. The Orioles got 2 runs real early off of the pitcher for the Angels, which was Thor. Only bad inning he had, really. And then Mike Trout follows it up with a solo shot, and then he hits another solo shot in the 5th inning. And it's Angels 2, Orioles 2, or actually Mike Trout 2, and the Orioles 2. In this game, Noah Syndergaard only went 5 2/3, 2 runs on 3 hits and 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, his best strikeout performance by far. He was only sitting there at 80 pitches, and stupid Madden takes out Noah Syndergaard too early, to the point that when we saw he was 1 out away from a quality start, we saw him leave the mound and him uttering the words is, "Why the fuck you taking me out? I want to finish this freaking game." And of course, Joe Madden, says no, he's got to take him out. He's like the master of the bullpen. In this game, again, the Angels had grabbed the lead on a Brandon Marsh 2-run homer in the 6th inning to make it, because Aaron Loop actually qualified for the victory, because Brandon Marsh's home run in the bottom of the 5th made it 4-2 Angels. Loop would stay in there for a couple batters, but then all of a sudden he started running into some trouble after a hit given up and an error. There was 2 men on. Ryan Tepera came in and proceeded to go back-to-back walks, allowing two runs or 1 run to score. And then with the bases loaded, he gave up a single, which 2 runs scored, and those were the daggers in the game. It was 5-4. So Tepera not finding the plate and just falling behind every hitter that he faced. He goes 2/3 before Mike Myers would come in and pitch an inning, and then Iglesias would get the 9th. Ohtani went 0 for 4 again with a walk, but Mike Trout had 3 hits, including he was the last out again left on base, or last person left on base in the 9th inning, back-to-back nights after collecting his 3rd hit of the game. He had 2 home runs in this game, like I said earlier, but a couple guys dropped the ball. Jared Walsh was terrible. He was 0 for 4. Shohei Ohtani was 0 for 4 as well with a 1 walk. They were both terrible in this game, leaving a lot of guys on base. So the Angels would take that loss and to a Baltimore team who would collect their 6th win of the season right there, and they would go 6-9, because obviously they came into this one at 4-9, and they picked up 2 straight wins in a row against the Angels at 8-7. This one was frustrating in a lot of ways because Raciel Iglesias came up in mop-up duty to keep it close. He only threw 10 pitches. Keep that in mind. He threw just 10 pitches. 9 of which were strikes, and he got 3 outs, and he looked really good. He didn't pitch the night before or the night before that. So Madden's logic for Game 3 with the Orioles and Angels was to rest Raciel Iglesias. Why? Why would you rest a guy who's only pitched 10 pitches in the last 3 or 4 days? I have no idea. You gave him the day off. Now, when Socha was here, yes, he mismanaged the bullpen at times, but not to this degree, not to this extent. But my feeling is with this is you've had pitchers that, like when he had Frankie Rodriguez or Troy Percival, those guys would maybe pitch a 18-pitch save one night and a 25-pitch save maybe under duress the next night. Mike Socha would sit them on the 3rd night if they were needed. And no one complained whether they were needed or not. He rests them because they threw about 40 pitches, right? That makes sense. But I never saw Socha take Frankie Rodriguez and say, okay, well, you got to save the other night, or you came in and you pitched an inning, 18 pitches or less, and we're going to sit you the next game. I thought that was the stupidest crap ever what Madden did with Iglesias. And it could have cost him yesterday. As the Angels would salvage 1 and force the Orioles to 6-10, they would pick up their 9th win, the Angels, of the season, to go to 9-7. Now, this game should have been out of question in the 1st inning. It should have. This game started with just a cluster F of walks by the Orioles starting pitcher Chris Ellis. He only pitched, he didn't even get an out. He gave up 1 hit, 5 earned runs, 3 walks. It was like a walking carousel. The Angels took a 2-0 lead off a bases loaded walk and a single to make it 2-0. And then Joe Adell comes up, who's filling in for Brandon Marsh, who had a stomach bug, like the 6th player to have the stomach bug this season. And Adell goes to right center field for a home run, grand slam. It's 6-0. You're thinking cruise control the rest of the game. Now, as a fan, you're thinking cruise control. As a team, the Angels should have been thinking, let's get a couple more runs. Let's really put this game away, and then we could rest our starters. But it wouldn't go that way. Jose Suarez made a mistake and gave up a 3-run homer, and all of a sudden it's a ball game again. It's 6-3. However, Jose Suarez has been getting the raw deal this entire time. He has not been able to reach the 5th inning. Madden will not allow him to. Now get this. His pitching line was 70 pitches total through 4 1/3 before he departed the game with 2 runners on and 1 out. 53 of those 70 pitches were strikes. That's a pretty good strike to walk ratio. Yes, he had 2 walks prior in the game, 1 in that inning, but he had 6 strikeouts, and he only had 4 hits allowed. Let him get a decision. Let him at least try to pitch you out of a jam. Madden refused to do that. Madden said, no, you're going out, and he put Ortega in. And Ortega got out of the jam, pitched an inning and a third. He had 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, and a hit. But Aaron Loop would get charged with a run. Or actually, Austin Warren would get charged. Well, Aaron Loop got charged with 1 run, 2/3 of an inning, his first run officially allowed. And then Austin Warren would allow 2 earned runs in this game off a 2-run homer in this game. So that would tie the game up at 6 in the 7th inning. So they got 3 runs in the 7th inning. Now, the bottom of the 7th inning came, and the Angels were able to walk in a run, the game-winning run, after Ward walked, and it was 7-6. The Angels had so many guys on base. They left a total of, get this, 16 base runners on base. So they left 16 guys on base, and they scored 7. They could have scored like 15 in this game, but they couldn't get the clutch hit. They took out Adele, who already had a grand slam earlier. Madden's like, I'm going with Duffy against a pitcher who was struggling, and Duffy grounds into a double play. There was a cluster F of problems in this game. Angels used 6 pitchers, so did the Orioles, 12 pitchers in total by both. Jimmy Herget pitches a perfect 8th inning. Now, Chase, I brought this up in the post-game show. He's part of our page, obviously. And Chase came out and told me in the message group, like, I don't like Bradley coming in with inherited runners. He has like a 2 to 3 run earned run average higher when inheriting base runners that aren't his. And he's got like a killer ERA with a clean innings to start with, right? Well, Archie Bradley comes in the 9th inning because Madden knows this, but he starts Herget in the 9th inning for whatever reason. Now, keep in mind, after they had the lead, you should have gone to Iglesias. There was no need to give him the day off. So you're already playing with fire right there. Then you put Herget out there, who goes 3-1 to a hitter. Then the hitter goes to right field with a single, and now it's a leadoff guy. Now, I can understand if Herget's a lefty and you're facing a lefty to start the 9th inning and you want to go lefty-lefty, but Herget's a righty and the hitter was a righty. Why not Archie Bradley start against him the 9th inning? Instead, Archie Bradley's got to come in there in the 9th inning and get 3 tough outs, including a double play to end the game, when you could have just put him in there with nobody. So, again, another head-scratching move by our fearless leader, Joe Madden. It just was, it pissed me off. I mean, the win did not feel like a win. So now we had to turn the page. And we look ahead now to Game 1 against Ohio, which I'm going to call them Ohio. I don't care what anybody says. Shane Bieber, who is an Angel killer, a Central killer, he's a great pitcher. You know, he's coming off an injury-plagued season. But so far this season, he's 1-0 with a 2.25 ERA and 16 strikeouts entering the game. Michael Lorenzen had a tough start his last outing against Houston. He's got 9 strikeouts coming in with a 4.02 ERA, and he's 1-1. This is going to be a good matchup of 2 flamethrowers. Lorenzen doesn't really get the credit that he deserves as a good starting pitcher. Shane Bieber's got a lot of different pitches, and he's going to be clutch. You got to get him out of the game. Basically, this is the same MO, but a little bit different. Like, it's the same MO starting pitching-wise for Ohio. Get to their bullpen as quickly as you can. As quickly as you can. The longer you leave the starters out there, the more trouble you're going to have. And their hitting is not as bad as Baltimore's. The Ohio team can hit. And the Ohio team can get guys on, and they can hit the long ball. So we're going to have to really pitch good in this one. This one's going to be a toss-up. Again, I predicted a 5 out of 7. So far, I mean, they'd have to sweep Ohio for me to make that look good on my preview. But that's what we're looking for today. The Monday night game where Ohio plays the Angels. Lorenzen Bieber is the starting matchup. And game 2 of the series is going to be a nice look. Tristan McKenzie is a good pitcher, and he pitched good last year. He's got an 0-1 record, but a 2.38 ERA and 11 strikeouts coming in. This is another guy that gets into a groove. Watch out. He's going to give you 6 easy. So this is a guy that you got to put guys on base. You can't take that stupid approach the Angels have been doing because our hitting coaches suck so bad, and Jeremy Reed and Paul Sereno. You really have to take the patient approach. Take what they give you, go for the hits, and if there's a fat pitch left out over the plate, a mistake, then jump on it. But stop trying to swing for the fences, goddammit, because they'll lose this series. He's going up against Patrick Sandoval, 0-0 with a 0 ERA and 11 strikeouts in his first 2 starts. And I think he pitched 4 innings in his first start, and I think it was 5 or 6 in his second start. I want to say that. But that's a good matchup right there. I predict that one's going to be really close. I'm hoping the Angels can pull that one out. But that's going to be runs are at a premium in these first 2 games, it looks like. And then the second one or third one, which will be Wednesday night's game at Anaheim Stadium, will feature the starting matchup of Zach Plesac, who is 1-1 with a 1.53 ERA, 10 strikeouts. You notice that it's the same thing with Baltimore. Baltimore came in with 2 starters with 0 ERAs and 1 with a 2.25 ERA. So right now, so far, we haven't seen anything over a 2-point ERA. And we've got Zach Plesac, 1-1, 1.53, 10 strikeouts. He pitched good against us last year against Shohei Ohtani, who's 1-2 with a 4.40 ERA and 28 strikeouts. So he's got double the strikeouts most so far. He's going to be hard to hit in this one. I'm hoping that he could match up with Plesac because Plesac, again, did really good against us last season for Ohio. So that's Wednesday's starting matchup. And then on Thursday, for the finale of the 4-game series, this one, because the first 3 were night games, I believe this one is a getaway day game. It is. Or it's a 4 o'clock game, a little earlier. It's Cal Quantrill. So the last Plesac's a second-generation pitcher. Quantrill is a second-generation pitcher right here. He's 1-0 with a 3.94 ERA. Highest ERA they'll see in the 4-game set. He has 6 strikeouts entering. And then against Reed Detmers, who has a lot to prove. He had 2 bad starts to start out. He had his best start, which was his last start, 5 innings pitched against Baltimore. You're going to look for him to bounce back. He's still got a high ERA, 6.57 ERA, 12 strikeouts. He's got to command the curveball along with the slider. I think his fastball's there, but that curveball sometimes hangs, and guys are able to bloop it out there into the outfield or get a hold of it. So he's got to be careful in this series. Again, the Ohio team is very aggressive, and he's got to watch their pitches. So the Angels are up against it. This is not exactly an easy opponent. Angels are 9-7 entering versus Ohio that is 7-9 coming in. So that is your preview for the Ohio series and the recap of Baltimore. I'm calling for 3 out of 4. I'm going to be super optimistic in this one. The Angels can take 3 out of 4. I'm hoping their bats can wake up. Their pitching really has not been the problem at all this season. It's got to be the hitting that is not taking care of business. So let's hope that the Angels can get that W. And, they take 3 out of 4. If they, the homestand would be, they'd finish the homestand, I think, 1 game over 500, because right now, currently, they're 3-5 this year at home. They have a winning record on the road. But if they were able to win 3 out of 4, they'd break even. Or no, they go 1 game over. And then also in the standings, they would finish 12-8, leaving, headed for the road trip. So with that being said, this has been a Toddfox podcast, but this is Halos in the Infield. Please check, like, and subscribe, give a 5-star review, and hopefully you guys will have other co-hosts on here so we can have a back and forth banter and talk about other stuff going on around the league as well. All right, so for Toddfox and the rest of the Halos in the Infield network, have a nice day, night, or wherever you're at.